Things that you have no idea are on the horizon for you will show up, and if you're open to them and you kind of trust yourself and go in that path, beautiful things can happen. Hi guys, welcome here. If you're new here, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Up Knits. Welcome back to another knit and chat. I'm really excited to sit down and chat with you guys today while working on something new. I know I said in the last video that I was going to be strict on myself, but you can't really resist with a little bit of red yarn. I went on a cast on frenzy because knitting the body of a men's sweater, not for me. Just gonna make that a later Bethany problem for now. I'm going to indulge myself in some knits that I think are long overdue for myself. I welcomed a huge cone of red yarn into my stash some time ago, and I always had visions of making a red cardigan. Just look at how pretty it is. It's so striking, it's so beautiful. I was itching to cast on with it from the moment that I got it, and I played it safe. I wanted to knit a red cardigan, but when I got it, I played it safe and I knit an Oslo hat, and it is the best hat ever. I love it. And I wear it all the time in the winter months. This past winter especially, got a lot of use out of it. Got a lot of cold weather, a lot of snow. It was wonderful. But what I really wanted was a cardigan, and I settled for a hat. But then I took the boys to the park the other day, and I saw a mom wearing a red cardigan, and that was it. I was like, I want to be like this mom. I want her wardrobe, so I have to make it myself. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wait a little while, but that's why I cast this baby on, and I could not be happier. It's just so pretty. I actually cut the yarn. I'm gonna have to rejoin when we get started here because tangles. I am really bad at that. I just like throw my project down. I don't put stoppers on my needles. I just abandon it wherever it was, go about my day, come back, and then I'm shocked that it got tangled or the cat got into it or my kids got into it, you know, what have you. So we're gonna rejoin. So I'm working with Woolly Knit Merino in its Rojo red, and then this is Ito Sensei Mohair, the best color match, the best. Like really, this is like literally the same shade of red, and it's really difficult to find a true red shade. I'm finding. I was surprised because I was going to go outside of my normal. This is what I used for the hat, so I knew that that was an option, and that was a really good one for this yarn. But I wanted to see at first if I could find anything that would be another option, like just work with a different fiber. And I went to a couple of stores. I purchased even some yarn from Drops online. The Drops Kid Silk that is red leans more orange, unfortunately, like a strange orange. I don't know. Kind of, actually, I think I would pair it with this right here. This is very, like, it's called lava orange. It's not quite that orange, but it would match more in this color family than this color family. So I will still use the mohair. I'll keep it in stash, but that wasn't right. And then I went to another yarn store, like a craft store that carried some Rowan Kid Silk mohair, and that leaned too pink. So it's really just, you can't beat a true red. So I'm glad I found it. And in person, I'm really starting to prefer to shop in person, like I was saying, because you just really don't know. And sometimes the yarn, the store's policy is not friendly to returns. It's tricky with yarn, you know? So I totally understand that, but it's tough when you're like shopping online and then it comes in from the mail and you're just like, this is not what I was hoping it would be. Which is really disappointing because you're thinking you're gonna cast on that night and then you have to wait until the next day or whenever you're able to go and find more yarn. So I'm working on the Maggie cardigan. So the woman that I saw in the park, she had like just a classic cashmere looking, easy to wear cardigan. She was wearing it with a white shirt and jeans. That's exactly what I want to wear mine with. My Maggie cardigan, I would love to wear it with a white shirt underneath and just blue jeans. Push my kids on the swing, look so carefree, so stylish. That's what I want to do. So I cast on the Maggie cardigan. This is one of those patterns that I didn't have on my radar because it was also during my hiatus, so I wasn't really closely following knitwear patterns, period. So it went over the radar for me, but I did get served up on Instagram. The algorithm helped me out and showed me a couple of red versions of this cardigan. Don't even get me started. I don't know how they knew. I was just thinking about how I wanted that red cardigan. I saw that woman. And then I get served some cardigans, handmade cardigans that look exactly like it. And I'm like, yes, that is what I was thinking of. Thank you. And so then I bought the cardigan pattern and we are casting on. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. If you don't already know, Skillshare is an online community with thousands of courses perfect for creators. So if you enjoy my channel or maybe others like mine, you are definitely going to appreciate Skillshare. Something that we get to talking about a little bit later in this video is taking professional risks. And a lot of the classes in the creative career skills section caught my eye because it's kind of related to what I do. Short form video is not my strong suit, so I've been listening to this course as I knit. It's called Short Form Video, Go Viral with Instagram, Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. If you follow me, you know that that's not really something that I'm very good at, so this course is perfect for me. It covers how to source ideas for original content, jumping on trends, and I'm picking up some videography basics that will come in handy for this style of video. So, if you'd like to try out Skillshare for yourself, I would definitely recommend it. The first 500 people to use this link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So definitely take advantage of that. Thank you so much to Skillshare, and let's get back to the chat. It's another PetiteKnit pattern, and I actually cast on another PetiteKnit pattern, but we'll get into that another day when I have it with me and we can talk through all those details. But I am working up 2 more PetiteKnit patterns. And I just wanted to say that I don't know if this is new, but I'm perceiving a little bit more criticism of PetiteKnit recently. And I know I was talking about it a couple of videos back, but I just want it to be known that I really support PetiteKnit. I think she's a great entrepreneur. I would aspire to be just like her. I think she has the dream life and she has definitely worked hard for it. And I think while I do have some criticism on some of the things related to children specifically, I will knit her patterns time and again because they are exactly the type of style, the type of fit that I like to go for, and I love the way that she writes her patterns. I don't think there's anything wrong with sticking with like one pattern designer that you know and love. That might be PetiteKnit, or it might be somebody else like Drea Renee Knits, or I don't know, just all kind of Ozetta, Kadri, all those amazing designers. Because once you get familiar with the pattern style, like a writing style of a knitwear designer, I think it just makes creating those projects so much better. So I definitely feel that way for PetiteKnit. So everything that I was saying in that episode, whenever it was, I just wanted to clear the air on that. I am not in any way against anti-PetiteKnit. I am very much in her favor, and you will see that because I will knit her patterns time and again. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm going to join this, and then I'm going to get started. I still have quite a ways to go on the yoke of this cardigan. I think I also was really keen to work it up because, hold on, no, this is wrong. Sorry, because I cut the yarn, I'm thinking I'm on like a different step. Am I on a knit side or a purl side? That is unclear. Oh no, yeah, I am on a purl side. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so this is so different than any of the other patterns that I've knit by PetiteKnit. So I think in a way, it also checks the box in terms of what I've been craving was to do something a little bit different, because I also gravitate towards patterns that have the same type of fit. But then when I'm saying that, I also just finished this Jenny sweater, which is a different construction entirely than the top down drop shoulders that I'm used to. And then before that, I did the Ingrid sweater, which is all over texture. So, I mean, yeah, they're a lot different. She has a range. Yes. So today, I have been thinking a lot lately about a very interesting video that I saw recently, and I think the algorithm knew, again, that I was gonna have a birthday very soon, and I just recently celebrated my 31st birthday. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is about turning 31 versus 30, I didn't really give 30 any thought at all. I knew that what was coming was supposed to be this big, oh my god, I'm turning 30. I've had friends that have had like existential crises, not really, but you know, who have thought that it's a much bigger deal than I would have. So I know that you're supposed to feel the weight of 30 when you turn 30, and I just didn't feel that. But for whatever reason, this year, I'm feeling the weight of 31 more so than I did last year. And I wonder why that is. A part of me was curious if maybe that just means that the decade hasn't started yet, because I remember in 2020 when it was New Year's and it was turning to be 2020, everyone was saying, oh my gosh, we're entering a new decade. And then there was another camp of people that were saying, no, it's actually not a new decade. We're still in the 2010s. It's not 2020s until 2021, because 2020 is just the last year of the 2010s. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe I didn't actually start my 30s yet, and now I'm finally in my third decade of life. But whatever the case, it could also just be that in the last year, more life has happened. And as I'm getting older, I feel like more life just happens. And so anyway, I was served up a video on YouTube about this woman, and this is actually a commentary on the age that we are currently living in, this digital age. It was a video, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the description, because I thought it was quite interesting. She filmed her life for an entire decade. So she's somebody who does daily vlogs or weekly vlogs or something like that. And anyway, for her entire 20s, she had a camera on and was documenting her life, and she was sharing the thoughts about what that decade was all about and what she had learned. And I watched it, and I thought I could really relate to quite a few things that she brought up, especially because going from your 20s to your 30s, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of stuff that's happening to you, and a lot of adulting that goes on. And you think that when you're as young as your like early teens or even late teens, thinking about what your 20s are, you think that you're going to be just such an adult, so old and so wise, and that's probably far from the case, far from the truth. And that is the first thing that really struck me about turning 31 this year, is that, you know, 31, if you would have asked my 21-year-old self what it would feel like to be 31, I would probably have told you that I would feel a lot older than what I feel today. So basically, at 31 today, I feel so much younger than I feel like I thought I should feel. And that's a good thing. I love that. That's wonderful. I'm not upset about that at all. And that's just a huge perspective thing that has changed over the last decade of my life, realizing that there is a lot of life left to live. And there's just so much more is going to happen. You know, you're not too old. You're at the just right age, I feel like. I'm in a great age, and I think anyone right now can relate, hopefully. If you're 30, I would say we're living our best years. That's just my personal opinion because, yeah, there's just so much more life left to live. I don't know how we got to a point where we thought that 30 was so old. I, for one, am of the camp where aging is a good thing and that we should embrace more years of life means more experience, and, you know, it's good to have all that experience. It's good to have all those memories and different things to build off of. You're growing as a person, you're learning so much more. So I definitely feel that aging is not a bad thing. So I'm coming from it from that perspective. But it does strike me, the number one thing that I've learned is that it's more of a longer game than that. So like I said, there's more life to live and things can change so incredibly fast. And if I really looked back at the last 10 years, so much has happened. Like, so much has happened. I'm in a new country, for one. We talked about that last episode. And a lot of things like that obviously have completely changed the course of my life. But some of it feels like it happened in such a short period of time. So only in the last 3 years, think about it, you can start a family and have exponential growth in such a short amount of time. So I feel like in the last 10 years, me as a person didn't really change all that much for the first 5 to 6 years of that decade. And then at the very end of the decade, there was just a lot of things that happened one after the other that made such huge change and just took my life into a different direction. So it's interesting to see how quickly life can change, and you can feel stagnant for a little while, but then if you just wait and see what opportunities are going to come to you, things that you have no idea are on the horizon for you will show up. And if you're open to them and you kind of trust yourself and go in that path, beautiful things can happen. Trusting my gut was a huge thing in the last decade, I would say, and just knowing that nothing is permanent. And that's really essential, I think, to where I'm at right now, because I decided to make a YouTube channel in 2021, and soon after that, I decided that I was going to do independent work and quit my job. So I was doing YouTube and my job for a little while, and then I just decided I wanted to be independent. And I didn't really have a plan then, but, I made the decision to go for it anyway and kind of just trust the process. But what I told myself when I was doing that was, it's not permanent, and I can always change what I'm doing, and I can always go back. I just need to give this a try. So knowing that a level of experimentation is always possible, you're never too old, I think, to try something new. And that's more in a professional sort of way. Obviously you can try something new, hobby-wise, and I'm definitely a supporter of that too. But what I find so interesting is that what I'm doing right now was never part of the plan. Never. I never thought that was anything that I could do, and suddenly it just happened. So one thing led to another, and that is the most mind-blowing thing of the last decade that I have learned, is that when you're really starting out your 20s, you're thinking, okay, I need to go to college, then I need to go into the workforce, and that will set me up for the rest of my life. I definitely had that point of view. But I think I came to realize after that was all said and done was that there's still a lot more time to do these things. And I'm especially learning that now. Being a stay-at-home mom as my number one job, I would say that that's my number one job, is to be a stay-at-home mom. And the way I look at it right now is that it's not forever, and it's temporary. And one day these kids are going to grow up, and I'm going to go and do the professional thing again. I'm going to do the career woman thing. And there's more time to do that. That's what my perspective has really changed, as opposed to 10 years ago. Where 10 years ago I thought that was not possible. You can't just leave and come back. And now sitting in this position that I am, while it's going to be very difficult the day that it does happen because I've been so far out of the workforce, doesn't necessarily mean that it could never happen. You know what I'm saying? So these years are short, and if there's something that you want to do, what I would say is that you should try and make it happen, because there's nothing saying that it couldn't happen. And there's no reason to put yourself in a box. I say that for many things, and I think this is especially true. You don't necessarily have to put yourself in a box. Things can change so easily. You can go back to school, you can learn something new, get some kind of certification, and go and change your career. Going off of that, obviously a lot of the lessons that I've learned are from having kids, because that is what has happened in the last 3 years. Is I started a family with my husband. So I feel like the majority of growth that I did in the last 10 years happened in those last 3 years of my 20s. So there's probably so many other things, other lines that I could draw connecting across those 10 years. But what's really fresh in my mind is just the impact of kids. And the one thing that I would say that I never had the perspective of before, but I do today, is learning that the joy of service to others is far better serving me and my happiness than it was serving myself. And I mean that for a couple of reasons. Like, I just find that the time flies, it just passes as I'm focusing on my family and doing what needs to be done day to day, focusing on the kids and obviously like trying to learn how to make a home, that kind of stuff. That takes up a lot of my time, and that's what makes the days go by really fast and feel really rewarding and worth my time. Another thing, I was talking about this with a mom recently, is I feel like, and I said this last time too, I feel like I get more stuff done in a day. But what I was telling her was that I feel like when my husband and I were just dating, sometimes outings and things wouldn't feel as worth it. Now, I hope you don't get me wrong, because we obviously did a lot of like dates and stuff. We went out on the weekends, but not to the extent of the fun that we have now. We like go to museums because honestly, it's so much fun. Those are fun places to go. Well, on your own, but then with kids too. And just little things like that. We really fill our days when we're all together as a family. We fill our days, not in like a stressful way, but I find that we do so much more together than we would have done as boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, even without. They just give you purpose. I mean, and there's a fine line, I know that too, about like your kids just giving you or being your entire personality. That's not really what I'm preaching here. And I'm not trying to preach either. I'm just talking to you. But yeah, I observe in myself that I'm more motivated to have fun and go and live life with these kids. It's really funny because just the opposite is quote unquote known to be true, you know, that it would be the opposite. But for me and for us, it is very true that we live the most life, I think, because of these kids. Yeah, just doing things for others, learning how to cook, learning how to bake, those things that I want to do. I want to do because of them, because of my husband as well, of course. So doing those sort of things for other people, it's nice to have that. It's really nice to have people to depend on you, I'm noticing. It's not a burden. It's something that is actually joyful. And that is what I have learned in the last 3 years with bringing those 2 boys into the world. I wouldn't necessarily say in my knitting world, is it better to do something for others? I would say that that's not true. And that if it came to me deciding whether or not I was going to knit for myself or for one of the boys, it would be me every time. Although I do think that I'm starting to prefer little boy knits more so because, well, if we compare all my last projects, okay, so I did 2 little boy knits, and then trying to move on to the big guy in my life. Like, the sheer size of those projects are so different. So I would actually say I might prefer knitting for the boys, just because I can start and finish a project a lot faster than I could for myself or my husband. But, you know, I still think that I would prefer to knit for myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, there's a fine line between making them your personality and having something for yourself. And I think knitting is still going to be a thing for me. But yeah, it is, I think, well, maybe not selfless knitting, maybe not my jam. Everything else in life, I think it's really good to put a lot of your effort towards the people in your life, and that will bring you a lot of joy. That actually, another thought that just popped into my head is that kind of goes the same for like physical goods. I wasn't always good about this, but I definitely started halfway through the decade really focusing on the amount of things that I purchased and where I put my money. Like what kind of items, what kind of things. And that's kind of where the handmade journey came from, because while I didn't learn how to knit in the last 10 years, I learned that when I was like in my first 10 years, I learned that. But if I think about this journey, I started hand knitting for my wardrobe in 2019. So it was halfway through the last decade that I discovered that I wanted to be a little bit more sustainable, a little less promoting consumerism, and doing my best to embrace slow fashion and do that in my closet. And I definitely see in the last 5 years, I've had a huge shift towards my spending habits as far as it goes with my wardrobe and things. I am so almost to a really bad point. I would be curious to hear all of your thoughts on everything that I'm saying right now, but this especially. I think making things for myself has really made it almost impossible for me to purchase new clothes. And I don't need sweaters all year long. I only need sweaters in the cooler months, and yet I still feel like I'm really lacking in my wardrobe, and I have a mental hurdle to get over every time I'm trying to buy clothes from the store. Mainly because it's like, well, will I wear it enough, and blah, blah, blah. Will this get a lot of use, and is it the right thing? Should I go between wanting to have like a capsule wardrobe and then all of the things at once. So that's still something that I'm trying to learn, and I think I will be learning for many decades to come until I just don't completely don't care anymore. But that is something over the last 10 years that I've been trying to get better at, trying to learn, and have really put a lot of my attention to. And knitting has definitely helped in that. Or actually, knitting was a direct result of that, in that I started knitting again for my wardrobe because of being more sustainably focused, sustainability conscious, maybe. Okay, my battery is going to die. My neighbor is kind of staring at me through the window, and I think I need to wake up Noah. So all those factors make it a really good time to leave this conversation here. I would really be curious what you guys think about the topic. Are you in a point in your life where you've been really reflecting about your past self and the evolution of yourself? I would definitely love to hear some kind of learning that you had over the last 10 years. It doesn't have to be super profound. I hope this wasn't so like, oh my gosh, I just have so many thoughts. But that video was really interesting, to just look back and reflect and think about some of the things. Yeah, it was a good exercise, I thought. And it's been consuming my mind as I turned 31. For whatever reason, last year it just didn't do it for me. This year, I was feeling a little bit more pensive about it. So thank you for sitting down and chatting with me. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I got many rows done, but you know what? That's really not the point. It's about just getting some time in little by little. Okay. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like. That really helps me out. Maybe subscribe if you haven't already to stick around. I also have a little Google form if you want to send me a note, a little topic suggestion, a question, whatever it might be. That's also linked in the description for any future episodes. So thanks guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.